Bad design. This is another bad design. This is a great design. This is a great design. This is a great design. I'm Matt and this is the VW Crafter. Okay, so we're back again with another review. This time it is my new to me 2022 VW Crafter. This one is a trendline 4Motion long wheelbase. I've owned this for a couple of weeks now and I just wanted to share my thoughts with you and do a little bit of a review before we turn it into a camper van. Let's take a look at the outside. Really like the look of these compared to other vans in this class. I think the front end looks really nice, really aggressive. The lights, the grills, it all looks really smart. As I said before, this one is a trendline 4Motion, so 4-wheel drive. Talk a little bit about that in a minute. This one comes with front and rear parking sensors. Would have been great if these were body colored, but they look okay and they give you a good field of vision. Nice looking steel wheels, which we will be swapping out, but for now they look the part. Unfortunately on the Trendline, some of the panels are actually just plastic. They go well with this darker coloured paintwork. You can see the panels run all the way around the outside. This one has the 270 doors, so these rear barn doors actually open all the way out like that. They've got these nice little magnetic catches just to hold them in place. That's pretty handy if it's windy. This one's also got a rear reversing camera. Let's have a look at the load bay area. I've already taken out the bulkhead as we're starting the process of turning it into a camper van. Because this is the 4Motion 4-wheel drive one, the actual height of the bed is 100mm higher, so that part there is additional on the 4Motions, which means you lose 100mm of headroom in these vans. The van came with a nice ply load liner, although I would say compared to the Ford Transits that you actually get a plastic load liner. This doesn't look as good. One, it's not going to be as waterproof, and two, it's not going to be as impact resistant. The Ford load liners used to come up and around, so any spillages, things like that are taken care of. I've taken the tie down points out, but there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, handy for tying anything down if you've got heavy loads or light loads that move around. Inside the back there are plenty of LED lights. One thing I have to say about my old Transit was the rear lighting was really poor from factory. Oh, there's even more tie down points, 2 at the back either side. If you're like me and your knee is knackered, there's loads of these grab handles to get in. Again, at the back you can see that the floor height is higher. This is because of the 4-wheel drive system. Let's take a look in the cab. Inside the cab you have got 3 seats, a captain's chair with 2 armrests. The driver's seat's got plenty of adjustment, lumbar support, and is super comfy. And then a bench seat for 2. The middle seat even folds down to make a table. These chairs have already passed the wife's comfort test. She found these to be a lot more comfortable than the Ford Transit Custom, so for long journeys that's going to be much better for your passengers. To drop this down, you simply pull on that lever there, push it down, locks in place, pull it again to release it, push it back up. One annoying thing is if you're buying one of these and you've got a small family, there are no ISOFIX points in the chairs. So for our conversion, that's something we're going to have to think about. We're having a little 1-year-old I want to be able to make sure he's nice and safe. A little bit of under seat storage under the passenger seats. However, there is the fuse box in there, so the actual amount of space isn't as big as you would think. This is the trendline, so it comes with a few more controls on the steering wheel, cruise control. If I'm honest, the interior of the cab is super comfy. However, it just feels a little bit cheap and a bit plasticky. It doesn't feel like the materials they've used are of any decent quality. The plastics are quite hard. If you know, give it that all over, it sounds pretty cheap. The steering wheel again is plastic, not leather. Aesthetically, it looks quite smart, quite neat. But when you look a little bit closer, you just start picking up on some of the smaller details. The multimedia screen is well made, easy to see, feels good. The buttons feel nice to use. It's got Apple CarPlay. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bottle holders. However, they are a little bit shit. This one, I know for a fact, once you move in, that will just go like that. And this one doesn't even fit my bottle in it. And it's not even that big a bottle. And that one doesn't fit in there. These storage bins piss me off. They pissed me off in my Ford Custom, and they piss me off here. They're just useless. Tell me what you can store in those. Anything you do put in them, if it's tools or equipment, people are just going to see it and break in. So really shit design. It's also got an auto defrost for the screen. Nice big sun visors and additional storage up here, which is also pretty handy. One thing we haven't got, which I would have spec'd if we'd bought this from new, but they're like rocking horse shit at the moment, is a diff lock. This one is a 4Motion, which you've got to kind of take what you can find at the moment. However, it didn't come with diff locks, but we got it at a really good price, and at the end of the day, we're not ordering it new, so you're gonna have to make some compromises. That's where there should be a diff lock button. Other things that we would have spec'd from new would have been 2 captain chairs and probably just the removal of the bulkhead. On the road driving, this van, because we've taken out the bulkhead in preparation for our van conversion, is quite noisy. You will be able to hear everything in the back rattling around. However, before I took that out, the noise was not too bad. It wasn't too loud. It wasn't too loud. Also, once you're off the back roads and onto normal roads, it isn't quite as rattly and noisy, and now it's quite comfortable to drive. The actual van just drives like a car. It's not heavy, the steering is super light, it's actually really easy to drive. I've replaced my Ford Transit Custom with this long wheelbase VW Crafter 2022, and to be honest, I was expecting it to be a little bit tricky driving it around, but I have to say it's actually super easy. The only thing I've noticed is the additional height on the back roads where there's trees overhanging. You just got to be careful because I don't want to scratch it up. And the other thing is the length. Yes, it is longer than a Ford Transit Custom. No, it's not that hard to maneuver. Just got to keep an eye on the corners and you haven't got a problem. Give yourself a little bit more space when swinging out. This is the manual version, 6-speed manual, super easy, super smooth gearbox. Clutch is really nice and light. Again, super easy to drive. Visibility is really good. Mirrors are nice and large, so you get a good view either side of the van. Brakes feel responsive, and this is the lower powered engine, so it's not a rocket ship, but it does feel like it pulls nicely and it's nice and responsive. You're not waiting for it to move. MPG is reading 34.4 average MPG for the vehicle. It's done 5,000 miles. I think that's actually pretty good MPG for the overall lifespan of the van. I can imagine a lot of that will have been on the motorway miles. Right, let's talk off-road capability and the four-wheel drive system. The four-wheel drive system is actually a all-wheel drive system based on the front-wheel drive model. It's got something called a Haldex system that basically works by detecting when the traction control is slipping. It can send power to the rear wheels. It can send up to 60% of the power to the rear wheels. However, after researching the MAN TGE vans, I read that that can only send up to 25% of the power to the rear wheels. So if you're looking at either the Crafter or the MAN, I would consider the Crafter over the MAN, because I believe that it will provide better off-road capability. We've only done limited off-roading in the Crafter so far. We took it down a few green lanes in very wet, stormy weather at the weekend. I just wanted to get a feel for how good the 4x4 system was. This consisted mainly of very wet, rocky tracks, and I have to say I was extremely impressed of how it handled those tracks. At no point did it lose traction. I even stopped on a gradient going up on purpose just to see if it would easily get going, and it did, no problem. So in conclusion, the pros of the Crafter are aesthetically it's a really good looking van. The 4x4 system is very good, and in terms of price point, if you're looking at a four-wheel drive van, your only other options are the Iveco and the Mercedes. The Mercedes is very expensive, and at the moment nobody's even making four-wheel drive vans. The other positive of a Crafter is the ease of driving. It is so comfortable, it is super easy to drive. You really don't feel like you're driving a large van when you're in it. Cons then. What is a shit design? My biggest con for the Crafter is definitely the build quality in the cab. The steering wheel, the plastics, the dash, it all feels extremely cheap. Not particularly impressed with it. I'm thinking retrim the steering wheel into something that's a little bit nicer. It's so plasticky that your hands just slip through it. There's no grip to it. It really is poor quality. And I thought from a brand like VW, this would be better. The other con are the cup holders. Absolutely shit. They're tiny. You can't fit anything in them. What is the point? You guessed it, they're a shit design. My other con, and it's kind of more 4Motion, four-wheel drive specific, it just seems a lot of headroom is lost for having a four-wheel drive system. Now I know it's all got to go somewhere, but when you actually have a look underneath, it does appear that there's actually quite a bit more room under there, and they could have perhaps packaged it slightly tighter. Another con is the clarity of the reversing camera. The infotainment system looks really smart, but then when you put it in reverse, the clarity of the rear view camera is really poor. Cheeky pro was that the AC is really good. It cooled us down when the temperature was up in the 20s, no problem, and we've got no bulkhead. So super happy with the AC. This video has taken me ages to film, and it's already taken me a while to edit the first chunk together. It's probably going to take me about 8 to 10 hours of editing. So if you have liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Hello. Hi. Are you ready to keep going? Yeah?
Yeah, we were wondering that.
I've driven it a few times, but not in this.
We've walked it, we've cycled it. It's a brand new van, so we thought,
it's
let's
4-wheel
try
drive,
it.
we were like,
Gotta
yeah, we've got to test it out.